Yo, guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. Today, I am sitting down with Emerson Adams, the director of Rewriting Mallory. For those of you that, I guess none of you know, this is our second time sitting down doing this because we had some technical issues last time. So thank you so much, Emerson, for sitting down with me and doing this for a second time.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So we'll get right back into it. It's going to be the same questions as last time.
That's
So
okay. That's okay.
yeah, so we'll start with how you got into filmmaking.
Yeah, my roots are in theater. So I kind of started acting in theater, growing up doing that. And then as I got into college, I kind of started to transition more towards the film and TV side of things. Especially as terrible as COVID was, it gave me some time to really explore the film side of things, which I wasn't as familiar with at the time. So by the time I finished college, I figured out that my passion is in the film production world. So yeah, that's kind of how I got my start in film. And I started on the acting side of things. And then over time, I decided that I wanted to try out directing, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's
Yeah.
brought me so much joy. So yeah, I think coming from acting and then expanding to that directing side of things has been an incredible opportunity, and it's made me realize how much I love both of them.
Awesome, awesome. So before we actually get into the film now, I'm curious because this is your directorial debut.
Yes.
What was it like transitioning from actor to director, and now you're in charge of everyone and making sure that everything plays out smoothly. What's that transition like?
I think actually it was a great transition. I think having that background of acting experience and knowing what I, as an actor, how I like to be communicated with, and what works the best for me on the acting side of things, I think
Mhm.
that gave me a strong perspective on the directing side, as far as communication goes, and kind of understanding, bridging the gap between the production side and the actor side of things. So it actually was a great transition. I think being an actor helped me to be a better director, and now vice versa. My directing experience has really impacted my acting experiences since.
Yeah.
So they complement each other really well, and they have having experience on both sides really um, supplement each other well, and teach me about either side. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great transition.
And for anyone that's seen it, I think it's pretty obvious that you transitioned pretty quickly and very well into the director's seat because everything flows very smoothly in this film. There's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of things going on, and it's very literally multiple narratives layered on top of one another, and it plays out very well. So
Appreciate that.
kudos to you for being able to do that, especially in your first go at it. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
you're very, very welcome. And then, so how did Rewriting Mallory come to be?
Yeah. Like I was talking about with college, I'm a recent graduate of Miami University of Ohio,
Oh,
and
congrats.
thank you. So this was our team's capstone film. So there was a team of us in our last semester of college, mostly seniors, a couple juniors on our team, that came together to create this film as our capstone film, kind of like the culmination of our training and everything we've learned so far in undergrad. So that's kind of how this team came to be. We were submitted, we had a lot of scripts submitted to us. And as a team, we worked through reading the different scripts and narrowing it down. So we ultimately chose the script of Rewriting Mallory. Because just a lot of us really fell in love with the story and the potential it had as a film. So that's kind of how it came to be. And then throughout the semester, so from January to May, our team had the opportunity to really develop this script, adapt it, and get it to where we wanted it to be as far as
Mm,
filmmaking purposes. And then the production process started, and it was a lot of hard work, but it was the most rewarding experience I could have been involved in. I absolutely adored it. And yeah, so throughout our production process, we worked on lots of different areas, and then ultimately finishing it up in early May. And now it's in the film festival circuit. So that's kind of a little basic outline of how it came to be and where it is now.
well, that happened very quickly to be done in May, and now you're on the circuit already.
Oh yeah, it was a quick turnaround for sure.
Is do you find that challenging being part of these film festivals, and is it overwhelming at any point?
Maybe a little bit, but I love it so much that it
Yeah.
just fills me up. It's a lot of work, but because the work is something that brings me so much joy and so much passion, it
Mhm.
honestly doesn't feel like work because it fills me up to be able to work on it. So, yeah, definitely a quick turnaround. And there was definitely points that were overwhelming getting it from a script to a film festival ready
Yeah.
film. But yeah, it was such a rewarding experience that it definitely made it all worth it.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And then, so at the heart of Rewriting Mallory, you have a film that's about human connection.
Absolutely.
And so what about that appealed to you, and how do you make sure that shines throughout the duration of the film?
Yeah. So with this film, and honestly with any film I'm involved in on the actor or director or any other side of it, it's really important to me that the viewers walk out of that film or finish that film with something that they can take away that just speaks to their own humanity.
Mhm.
And that can be something different for each person. So, when I first read the script, I was sitting in my room and I read through the script and I was just so intrigued by how many different parts can speak to different people. The first time I read it, I came out with my own interpretation and then I hear other people's and it's their own interpretation. I think it really speaks to the humanity in it and how each person can take away what they need from the film.
Yeah.
So that's, important to me in any film that I work on, but especially with this one because the heart and soul of Rewriting Mallory is that just human experience. So
Yeah.
that was something we kind of worked to center around throughout our production process.
Awesome. And so it's brought to life in a very unique way. We talked about magical realism and sci-fi, and not really diving all the way into science fiction, but kind of treading the water and treading the line between sci-fi and magical realism. And I'm curious how you managed to find a balance between that magical realism and the science fiction, and still being able to create that human connection where where everyone is able to access it.
Yeah, I think that took a lot of teamwork. I had an incredible team to work alongside. It was truly the most amazing team I possibly could have worked with on Rewriting Mallory. So I have
Mhm.
so many kind things to say about them. And, they're the reason that the film is the way it is. We got the chance to kind of work together to find that balance. Like you were saying, there's the magical realism aspect, but then there's also that just core of humanity. So,
Yeah.
uh, that was kind of a few avenues that we had to take to be able to get to where we ended up. We first started in the adaptation phase. So when we first got the script, that was kind of where we played around with it and took the core of it, but then figured out how we could find that balance. So that was kind of our first stage of finding the in between between that kind of magical aspect and that deep rooted humanity.
Yeah.
So those conversations started in the adaptation phase, but then moving forward from that, a lot of conversations with my director of photography and just the cinematography team in general. I think that was a lot of conversation figuring out how we wanted to frame it and where we wanted to make those distinctions and how that would help us tell the story. So that was a large
Mhm.
part of it too. And then also just working with the actors and helping them to understand where we wanted to focus on that root of humanity and where we wanted to let it trail a little bit into other genres. So lots of teamwork and lots of conversations being able to nail down when we want moments of each side of things.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the cinematography as being a key part of that.
Yes.
And one of the things that I noticed in the film was this level of intimacy that exists throughout the entirety.
Mhm.
And the cinematography plays a huge role in that. We often get close-ups of the main characters, and I mean, almost like we're sitting on top of them at certain points. And for me, I have the potential to get, uncomfortable when I'm that close, when I'm up close and personal with someone like that. So how do you find the balance between that intimacy and not overwhelming your viewers with too much of that, and just like keeping it balanced, like I said?
That's a great question. I think that is kind of a similar answer to the other one, just finding that balance. I think part of that, again, was the conversations with the cinematography team and figuring out exactly which moments and being specific about when we wanted to create that intimacy and have those closer close-ups to be able to really dive into those actors' emotions. So
Yeah.
part of that was having a lot of specificity in when we wanted to choose those moments with cinematography. And then on the other side of things, part of that was with our actors. We had a really talented cast of actors who were absolute joys to work with. So they made my job easier because they were so flexible and easy to work with. They're just wonderful people. So especially when, talking about our two leads, they're the ones that probably have the most intimate close-ups. I think it just came down to having conversations about their characters and really having them grasp the arc very strongly, being able to make sure they had a really strong understanding of where the characters were going, and finding that balance between really feeling those emotions, but not taking it too far to where it causes disconnect or it feels a little too abrasive to the audience. So yeah, I'd say that was a combination of specific choices in the cinematography realm, as well as strong choices by our actors and a strong understanding of the story by them.
Yeah. And so what's it like? I know that it's not your script, but it's ultimately your vision when you're sitting in the director's chair and trying to bring this to life. What's it like trusting those actors with such intimate roles and such intimate moments throughout the film?
It's something, again, kind of bringing it back to my experience as an actor and then transitioning to the directing side. I think having that experience as an actor helped me to be able to have that trust on the other side. The casting process is obviously a super important part of that, and something that was really important to me in casting, alongside having people that grasped the characters and were talented. It also was so important to make sure they were just good people, because it's long shoot days and people can get tired and stuff like that. But if you're casting people who just have a good heart and who are passionate about the work they're doing, that makes that trust so much easier. So, and on the other side of things, they also had to trust me to be able to, accept any notes I gave or any critiques or anything like that. So it's definitely a two-way street with that trust. But as a director, one of the most important things to me was building that trust and, spending time with my actors and making sure that we had a strong relationship and were able to communicate openly. I worked to establish that very early on because that was super important to me, was just making sure that there's a two-way street of trust. So yeah, kind of when we got into our production phases, I think we already had that trust built through a lot of work and through just, going back to the casting process, selecting actors that were ready to be vulnerable and ready to put in the work to make this film great. So yeah, I think by the time we got to production, I trusted them and I knew that they were going to put in the work, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, because I'm always intrigued by that relationship because it's significantly different than employer employee, where you just have a certain you have a task, complete the task or don't complete the task, and we're going to determine how well you did based on whether or not you completed it. There's such a huge range of what can be accomplished in this in your field. So
Absolutely.
I'm intrigued by that relationship very much and that level of trust that it takes to be able to accomplish something like this. So yeah. And then so like I said last time, the word of the day was balance. It's balance.
Yeah.
It's balance again today.
I love it.
So you mentioned that you appreciated that people were able to connect with the film in a multitude of ways. And mine was where I saw Mallory, her life was just crumbling one step at a time. And it was just one thing after another. And it got worse and worse as it went along. And I don't want to spoil anything. But when you get to that final step, when you just realize, her life is kind of in shambles at this point, you don't want your viewer to be too overwhelmed. And again, you find a very nice balance between, letting your audience understand what's happening and not, overwhelming them with this very harrowing and difficult content. So where do you find that balance in there, and how do you know you've gone too far, and how do you know when to take a step back?
Yeah. So story wise, I think it comes down to, the fact that we had a fantastic script. I think that definitely helped us root into that, build up without it being too overwhelming.
Mhm.
I think it also comes down to our actress who played Mallory. She did a great job of, building that character arc up to, that climactic moment where her life seems to really crumble. That was, one of our major conversations in the pre-production process between me and Tammy, who played Mallory, was finding how we could establish that arc and make it make sense, kind of have a trajectory to it reaching that peak, especially because we were filming out of order. So that was something that I wanted to make sure we addressed early on, so that her mindset was always able to be at whatever step we were in that kind of arc. Right. But yeah, so it came down to great acting, a great script, and just open communication about how we make that build without it feeling abrasive or just super abrupt. And again, to bring it back, that was also comes down to cinematography and working with that team of how to make the story flow and make it feel like it's not super jagged transitions. So yeah, like you said, the word of the day, balance. It was all about conversations and communication and making sure that all of our teams were on the same page as far as how we wanted to tell the story and how we could make that build seem as seamless as possible.
Awesome. And so you said you shot out of sequence, you shot out of order. I'm always curious, what's that like? What's it like not shooting this linear story, and it's very fractured on your end? How do you figure out how to do that?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think the biggest challenge as far as that goes is for the actors, having been on the acting side, shooting things out of sequence. It's really, really important to be able to know where your character's mental state is at any given point. I found it helpful on the acting side of things as an actor to make sure that I, knew the script backwards and forwards and was able to mark. I'll usually, as an actor, draw out a little like arc diagram so that I know where mental state is throughout a film. So part of that, I know I keep saying conversations and communication, but it really all ties back to that. Especially with our two lead actors who have a lot of different mental states throughout the film. A lot of that came down to having, one-on-one conversations about the script, about how the character is feeling at different points, about how we were going to differentiate those different points. And it just came down to a lot of one-on-one conversation and kind of making discoveries together and having some pre-rehearsal to be able to make sure that when we got on set, the actors knew exactly on a given day where their mental state needed to be as their character and how to adjust if they were going to do a scene following that was earlier, just kind of how to differentiate the different parts of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Very, very cool. And then so I wanted to talk about some of the other people that were, connected to the film. Tim Cox, obviously, he's fantastic. He's the reason that we're here together.
He's wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. In more ways than one.
Completely.
And then this interview kind of brings it full circle, where I've had Tim Cox on and I've had Ryan Fleming on, where you were in his film Sisyphus Unbound. And I'm curious how those relationships formed and how you guys, how working with those gentlemen were.
Yeah, well, to start off, they're both extremely talented and passionate and wonderful people to work with. So I was very excited that I got to work with them on Rewriting Mallory. Actually, I met both of them at the beginning of this year. So in like January, February-ish, when I was working on Ryan's film, Sisyphus Unbound. He was working on a short film and asked me to play actually Tim Cox's daughter in that film. Acting side of things. So when he asked me to play that role, I was super excited to be able to get to know him and work with him on a film. So that's how I originally met Ryan. And then that's also how I originally met Tim, because I played Tim's daughter. So in
Mm,
the film, getting to work with him on set and, between takes or during lunch break, getting to sit down and kind of hear his experience, because he has a very wide experience in the film and acting world. So
yeah.
getting to learn some of his wisdom and, as I go off into the industry, getting lots of valuable advice from him, from Tim, was wonderful. So I met the two of them through Sisyphus Unbound. And then after that, it actually turned out that Ryan was in my capstone class on my capstone team, and he ended up being one of our producers on Rewriting Mallory. So I was excited to get the opportunity to work with him again on the production side of things. And then Tim ended up getting cast as Mr. Holcomb, one of our characters in Rewriting Mallory, because I was like, I need to work with this guy again. He is so wonderful to work with. And having Tim on set just brightens up the energy on set. He walks in a room and everyone is excited to get to know him. His passion just like radiates as an actor and just as a human being. So having him on set was such a joy. Our whole team absolutely adored him. So I was excited that I got to work with Tim again. Kind of on that directing side, which was so funny because I had just acted alongside of him. So
Yeah.
to direct him again, I think there was that two-way street of trust, and we both respected each other. And so I was really excited to get the opportunity to work with both of them again in Rewriting Mallory. So very full circle, small world for
Yes.
sure.
Well, they're both wonderful people, and
Absolutely.
if I hadn't met them, I wouldn't have. I more than likely wouldn't have seen Rewriting Mallory. I wouldn't have gotten to meet you. You're also wonderful, and
Thank
I'm so
you. I
thankful that you're
appreciate
here.
it. I'm
Um,
able to be here.
I'm glad that we were able to do it twice then.
Absolutely. A little bonus
uh,
round.
yeah. And then so I would like other people to be able to see Rewriting Mallory as well. And I know that you said it's on the circus on the festival circuit. How can people follow along and find out where to watch it?
Yeah. So yeah, like you mentioned, it's currently in the festival circuit. It was just selected for Chicago Indie Film Awards, which is really exciting. And we're gonna be finding out about more later in the summer, in the fall, kind of later on. So once it's done with that film circuit, we'll have it public on YouTube. Depending on which festivals we get into and when those are, my guess is it'll probably be at some point in the later winter. Maybe early 2024 is what I'm
Okay.
thinking. But we'll kind of it really depends on how the festivals end up. So there'll be updates on my personal Instagram page, which is Emerson Adams 14. So that'll be a great place to kind of keep updated on when this will be available. And same with our capstone Instagram, which I have tagged on my page. So
Okay.
yeah, that'll have kind of updates about the film and when it'll be public. And then I'll be sure to share when we're finally able to release it.
Fantastic. I look forward to it, and I look forward to sharing it with other people as
Thank you.
well,
I appreciate that.
of course. And then what are you working on now?
Yeah, so I'm actually in August, I'm about to move out to LA to go to grad school for screen acting. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
kind of the next step. I'm also kind of in the developmental stages of a comedy piece that I'm looking to direct. So that's early stages right now, but I'll give you updates as they come. But yeah, the biggest thing right now is prepping to move out to LA and make that transition to my master's program and getting to dive even deeper into the world of acting and directing.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck on the move. That's a huge move.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, it's definitely quite the move, but I'm really looking forward to it.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. And then last question, what are some of your favorite films?
Oh my goodness. I have so many. This might be a little cliche, but I do have to stay true to my musical theater roots. And I do love Mamma Mia. It's just it's I know kind of a surprising answer, but musical theater is definitely in my heart, so I do love Mamma Mia. But this doesn't totally answer the question, but right now I'm pretty obsessed with Ted Lasso, the
Oh
television
my
series.
God.
So good. I just finished it, so I won't give any spoilers, but
Mm,
I, you know, I I love that show. I've been actually talking with my assistant director on Rewriting Mallory, Mackenzie Knorr, who's also a fantastic person. She loves Ted Lasso, so we've been texting about it and breaking it down. But that's my current obsession. But yeah,
if you don't like Ted Lasso, I think I question your humanity a little bit. He's
totally agree.
just the greatest person ever.
Oh yeah, it's such a well done series too. Oh, I can't say enough good things about it, but
I
yeah.
always say that there's no perfect movie or perfect television show, and I'm contemplating whether or not this one might be the first
It
perfect
might
television show.
be.
Yeah, like even the imperfections, they're done on purpose and they're
Mhm.
done so well.
So
So
yes. Oh my
I'm
goodness.
I'm glad that someone else is as obsessed with Ted Lasso
Oh
as
yeah.
I am. I've
Big
watched
time.
it twice now. I'm on the third viewing. I just started
Oh,
season two
amazing.
for the third time. So,
I love it. I'll definitely be rewatching it soon since I just finished it.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
yeah, yeah. But Emerson, thank you so much for doing this again. I had a blast both times.
Oh,
That
me too.
this one says recording, so if it didn't
Okay,
record, I don't know what to tell you.
that's okay.
Um, we'll just have to do it a third time,
I guess
and
so.
that's okay. Uh, but yeah, I would love to have you back on again sometime to talk about future projects, and it would be fantastic.
I would love to as well. I'll make sure to keep you in the loop on anything I do in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.
You too. Nice
All right,
talking
thank
to
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.